Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to Crowdsurfing. This is a video in which we talk about games on Kickstarter, our opinions of them, topics about Kickstarter, all sorts of things. But, of course, always, what games are on Kickstarter that you should take a look at right now? So here we go. Okay folks, let's take a look here at what's on Kickstarter. We're going to start with Titan Dice. This is from Eagle Games. This is their 18th game in a small box line. I really remember when their first game came out. Here they're up to number 18. This is one about capturing creatures. The Titans have escaped, trying to capture creatures of the gods or something like that. It's actually a small little game where you're rolling dice to capture creatures. I really like the look of it. I really like the look of the dice. The dice are 3D generated into things, so I'm hoping that the actual final dice look really cool. I hope this seems like a game that I would really like. Another game that looks exciting is from Foxtrot. This is Spy Club. This is a campaign game for kids. It's a cooperative game in which you have different cards and you're trying to solve cases, but it says it's a campaign. So this is the first campaign game I know that focuses on children. And then they have 152 cards, 40 modules. The artwork looks really good. Foxtrot makes some really great family games. This one looks like it's big and small at the same time, so I'm really pumped about this. Kodomo has their first Kickstarter that's doing extremely well. Potato Pirates, the tastiest coding card game. If you remember, I think on one of my unboxings, they sent me a copy of this. I don't normally review Kickstarter games, but it does look cute, but it does look also like it's a take-that game mixed with programming. I don't know that you should do that. I don't know, but again, obviously people think it looks great. It has little potatoes, like little puffs, whatever those things are called. That are potatoes. I like that idea, and the artwork is funny. Dynamals, the card game. This is the first Kickstarter created by some kids and their dad, but it looks cute. I mean, it's about making these dynamos. You're mixing dinosaurs with animals, and so it looks like another Take That game, but it has a cute theme, so I think this one might appeal to families more. From Gather Round, a brand new company making Someone Has Died, a silly game about serious business. Now, this is an intriguing theme here, right? Someone has died, and I think it's like a silly, like this robot, android died. How did you know him, And you're making up these stories about how you knew the deceased. I think you're talking at the funeral. So on initial blush, it sounds fairly morbid, right? But the game doesn't look morbid. It all looks silly, and reviews like this is a really fun party-style game. But it still seems like it's in the storytelling genre, from what I can tell. It's definitely different, the kind of thing that Kickstarter is good at. Tinkerbot has an expansion for Ghostel. I reviewed Ghostel, really enjoyed this game as you place dice trying to scare different people that are in a hotel. Well, this one is Ghostel, Weird Ghosts and More Ghosts. It comes with these trick-or-treaters who show up. They have these they're trying to get candy, so they don't care about ghosts. They're just going around and messing things up. You have families, so more people are moving in that you can scare out. And then just more ghosts in general. You want to play with more players, or do you want different colors? So it adds that sort of thing. Definitely a game you should check out. From Moon Mares, we have the Monster Boom card game. I just like the name of this one, Monster Boom card game. This is a take on tic-tac-toe, where you're trying to get 3 different cards of a color in a row, but you're also rolling a die and like blowing up 1/9 of the grid at any point in time. So it's probably too crazy random, I think. But I like its look, and I like its name. Hologren's first game is STEM Epic Heroes. Now, I'm kind of fascinated by this game for a couple things. First, the artwork is phenomenal. Secondly, they're using actual scientists, right? And they have a really good mix, diverse cast of scientists that are included with this game. And all the scientists are made kind of like to be super heroically scientificing. And they're doing, and in this game, you are trying to do the scientific method. Now, I'm not sure if the game is any good. It's kind of like, it looks like it's play good cards, play bad cards, and someone else. Maybe not necessarily take that. Maybe the game is better than it looked like from a quick reading of the description, but it looks good enough that I would play it no matter what. Dwarven Smithy Deluxe. This is the second time that Dwarven Smithy's been on Kickstarter. In this game, dwarves are crafting different items to get gold coins. Again, the artwork looks really good. It looks like almost like a set collection to get these and this, to get these coins and things. I really like the idea of this one. Looks good. Although this is not the first game about dwarven smiths that I've ever seen. That certainly seems to be a common theme. Ninja Division is doing Starfinder Masterclass Minis. Now this one was actually pretty funny because Ninja Division emailed me, I don't know, a few weeks ago and said, hey, we're going to be working together with Paizo, the people who made Starfinder, on a secret project. And then they announced miniatures, and I said, well, Was anyone surprised by that? You make miniatures. You mentioned Starfinder. You're making Starfinder miniatures. But Starfinder looks like a really great RPG, so this should be a lot of fun for those involved. The Seventh Continent. This, of course, is my Kickstarter of the week. I really like this game. I played the first one. This is they're putting it out again, plus expansions. Plus, now you can fly in a cloud and go around in the skies, or get on a raft and go in the rivers. Oh, so I backed this one. I very rarely back Kickstarters, but I backed this one. Very excited about this. I like the Seventh Continent. Is one of my favorite games of the year. This is just great, grandiose, and they're not selling it at stores. It's the only way you can buy it. I don't necessarily agree with that decision, but it is what it is. So if you want to get the game, you better back it now, or buy it from someone else who didn't want it, I guess. All right, Weird Giraffe has made a game called Stellar Leap. This is a space exploration game, and it looks like you're rolling dice and going through different decks of cards, trying to collect sets of things, different events are happening. I really like the look of this one. I like the idea of exploration games in general. Go back to Seventh Continent to see more about that, because that game is just all exploration. So this one has me pumped too. Highlander The Duel, Connor McLeod versus Kurgan. This is a two-player game, and I'm not sure this one looks good. I mean, it has nice miniatures, and there certainly is a crowd of people out there who like Highlander. It's a little mini game, though, and it's card versus card versus card. Now, this stuff has happened before. Tides of Time, Tides of Darkness has the same thing, just a few cards going back and forth against each other. If it can match those and also meet people's expectations considering Highlander, then I think it will do well. One that is extremely doing well is Resident Evil 2, the board game. Now, this is from the same people who made Dark Souls, the board game, so I'm not extremely interested in it on first blush. Not that I'm a big Resident Evil fan, although there is a giant alligator. That's pretty cool. But it's a cooperative survival horror game. It is busting up like gangbusters. Part of that is probably because of how good the miniatures look, but there you go. Then we have Dice of Pirates from Thing 12, who also made Dice of Crowns. In this game, it's just a dice rolling game, and you're rolling dice to get coins and use those coins to do other things and get different groups, and there's a lot of interaction. The reviews seem positive. It looks really small. I never actually played Dice of Crowns, so I don't know if this is the same game, but in a pirate zone, who knows? And finally, Snap Dice, the magnetic dice rolling tray. Now, I actually had an ability to try this out at Gen Con. It's a tray there with a, or maybe it was Origins, but it had a magnetic line on it, and you roll these dice, and they roll into the tray, and then they snap on that line. Really strong magnets. But you got to use metal dice, otherwise it doesn't work, and they have to be magnetic metal dice. And the dice themselves are a little expensive. So I would like to try this out some more. It seems pretty cool. The problem is it's kind of limiting. Like, you can't use dice in any game. You got to use the dice that come with this. Still, it is kind of neat. But anyway, that's what I found on Kickstarter this time. Let's keep moving.
Hey, board gamers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back with more Kickstarter lagniappe. That's right. I'm bringing you projects that won't break your budget, but give you a little something extra. Here's what I've been checking out this week. I've been looking at Titan Dice. It's a new dice rolling game from Eagle Griffin Games. It's designed by Michael and Lisa Eskew, and it's got some art from Bryce Cook. Here's your chance to be king of the Titans. For so long, you and your fellow Titans have been held captive by the gods of Greece. You've finally broken out of your prison, and you're ready to wreak havoc out on the mountains of Olympus. In Titan Dice, 1 to 4 players, plus I think there's a 5th player expansion here with the Kickstarter, will take turns rolling dice to capture mythical creatures that are going to help you in battle and claim different creature cards that are going to get you better abilities. The designer says playtime is 15 to 30 minutes. BGG says 45 minutes. Hey, that's right up my alley. And it's a good start of the night type filler. It's kind of a standard type game with these Eagle Griffin games in the bookshelf series like Ink and Gold. Titan Dice has an interesting twist on the rolling dice mechanism that I like. In most games, you either roll all of your dice or, you can kind of pick and choose some of them like in Euphoria. In this one, you have 3 choices. You can roll all the active dice, you can roll all the spent dice, or you can roll all the active and spent dice. That's going to make for a delicious decision. Of course, as with most dice games, there's a cool push your luck mechanic. If ever you roll a wound dice, you must set aside that wound dice on your player board. Get 3 of those and you are out. Let's talk about the pledge levels. The one I was looking at is this one up here, the $24 Kraken Crusher. You're going to get the Titan Dice game, of course. You're going to get the Ancient Relics, the Kickstarter exclusive. And also, if you like Roll Through the Ages, you're going to get an illustrated scorecard that you can use. Plus, you get all of the stretch goals, like the engraved marble dice. So, Titan Dice has some things I like. To recap, it fits nicely in that lagniappe category. It's got a price point under 25 bucks. It's got low-cost shipping to the USA, only 6 bucks. And don't forget the lagniappe, a 5th player expansion, the bonus relic cards, the stuff for Roll Through the Ages. If you want to try out the game, it's actually on Tabletop Simulator. And in fact, the designers just posted a walkthrough on the new 5-player expansion. Hey, so that's Titan Dice from Eagle Griffin Games. It's still out on Kickstarter right now. Hit me up on Twitter at BoardGameGumbo. I'd love to hear what you think. Is this a game I should back? Post your thoughts on the comments below. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I'm BJ from Board Game Gumbo, back with another Kickstarter lagniappe. But until next time, laissez le bon temps rouler.
Okay, you might be thinking I'm going to go one place with this, Tom thinks, and I'm really not. This is more of a question for you all. I notice on a lot of games, mostly party games, that there is a not safe for work expansion in them. Now, every once in a while, I'll get an email from someone who goes, "Did you think Cards Against Humanity was dirty? Well, we make that look like apples to apples." You know, and it's like, okay, well, that's not my style. Here in the Dice Tower, we don't really want to play the not safe for work party games. And it seems like a lot of companies have made them of, you know, there's the Codenames After Dark, there was Pictionary, the Telestrations. A lot of these games have their adult version of them. So I'm not really here to debate that, but I'm asking this. I'm curious. Well, I've seen a lot of these not safe for work set of cards, not safe for work things. And again, it's usually party games. What about that makes someone back game? Because from what I can tell, these cause a flurry of people backing it. So is it the we're seeing something naughty? Is it just that you want to see that universe or whatever it is expanded in a direction? Or you feel like the game itself is so tame? So this is a question from me to you. My first question is, one, if you see a not safe for work expansion type thing, stretch goal on a project, does that make you want to back it? Does that get you excited? You know, ooh, this is a cool thing to add. And two, why? You know, why does that? Because I'm trying to learn about these things in Kickstarter, and for me, that's kind of like a turnoff. Actually, you know, I don't really want to play those kind of games. And again, I'm not casting aspirations on those who do, but I'm curious, like in a game that is not safe for work, like Cards Against Humanity, you know what you're getting, right? The game has some bigger, badder expansions, but the base game is, you know, pretty vulgar and stuff right in. So you know what you're getting, and the expansions are more of the same. But there's a lot of party games that, or take that games or whatever, card games that are perfectly normal and fine. You can play with kids, and then they're like, oh, but we're adding this, and now only adults. So that like changes the tenor and level of the game, and I'm curious as to what makes people back. So this is not so much a Tom thinks, it's what do you think? Let me know in the comments.
This is Jamie Stegmaier of Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about whether or not your first product on crowdfunding should be humble or epic. If you're a game designer, you might have a lot of different ideas that you're working on, maybe in various stages of development. And among them, you might have a humble product, a humble game, maybe a game with 20 cards, a few dice, not that many components. And you also might have some epic games that you're working on, games with longer playing times, tons of complexity or miniatures or components and rules. And as you are contemplating your first crowdfunding projects, you kind of have to decide which one should I focus on, the lighter, the humble game, or the epic game. And I think there are some pros and cons to both that I'll talk about in a second, but the overarching answer is you're going to spend a ton of time on whichever game that you choose to focus on, both in terms of design and development and on planning, executing, and running and delivering on the crowdfunding campaign. So you have to decide which of those products, which of those games is going to sustain your excitement, your interest, and your passion over the next 1 to 2 years. Because if you burn out on it, if you lose interest in it, it's going to be really hard to continue. But there are some considerations, some other considerations to think about. A humble product is easier to make. There's less risk involved in it because usually there's less money at stake. Fewer things can go wrong with a game that only has a few cards opposed to 100 miniatures. And it has a lower barrier to entry for a backer. A backer is more likely to spend $15 to $20, or it's easier for them to spend that than it is for them to spend $50 to $100. A great example of this is one of my favorite campaigns of all time was a Tasty Minstrel Games campaign for Dungeon Roll. It ended up raising a lot of money, but it was for a fairly simple game, a really enjoyable game, but it was in its essence a humble game. On the other side, an epic game has a greater chance of capturing the imaginations of backers because there's more stuff. There's more. It's bigger. It's epic. It's something that you plan a game night around. It can also it can raise a lot more money than a humble project because usually the price is higher, and it can really set that foundation and that benchmark for your success as a company, your future success. And it's also an epic campaign is more likely to attract media attention. So those are just some things to think about. A key here is to, as always, research other projects. Look at what other creators have done. Have they started Humble? Have they started Epic? And how has that impacted their other projects and their future games that they've released? Good luck with making that decision.
Oh, hey, what's funding? Now, typically, this is where I would tell you what game we're going to look at this week, and we would cut over to it. But honestly, I don't have one for you guys this week. So I thought this might be a perfect opportunity to talk to you about a topic related to crowdfunding that actually is the reason why I don't have one this week. And that is print and play. So typically, when I'm presenting a game to you guys, I'm looking through the projects on crowdfunding sites. I'm seeing what appeals to me, and then I'm looking for a print and play file available, or a try before you buy. Now, this time I didn't find anything that appealed to me, and that got me thinking, does print and play affect your decision to back or not back a project? For me, it is pretty much a big deal for me, and that I like to be able to actually play a game before I actually throw my money at it. It's no different than a retail game in my opinion. But I'm curious, have you ever taken advantage of the print and play options, or even things like the tabletop simulator options that sometimes happen? Does it make you more inclined to back a project if it has the option to print and play, or even if it has a print and play backer level? Let me know in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time.
All right, well, that is that, folks. Thanks so much for watching another episode of Crowdsurfing. Thanks to the folks who sent stuff in for it. I'm always excited to see what's coming out. It seems like there's some really good projects on Kickstarter right now, and there's a few more I should mention. People say, why didn't you mention this project? I only ever talk about projects on this show that are 20 days or less from the moment of me putting the show together, 20 days or less left on the project. So some projects have a lot more time, then those projects will make my next Crowdsurfing. And so that's why you might not see different projects. But I also just pick things that I find interesting too. Anyway, until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Crowdsurfing on the Dice Tower.